Here we are back with the fire within, the entrepreneurial spirit, and in keeping with my earlier comment on our first show, we're visiting with companies or organizations that in some way are affiliated with entrepreneurship and small business development in the Okanagan Valley. Tonight, our guest is Kari Robb, who works for, hold on folks, a leasing company entitled Leaseline. And thank you for coming tonight, Kari.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to having you tell our viewing audience about what Leaseline does, how it generates its business, and what are the pitfalls for a leasing company in the Okanagan.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about Leaseline.
Leaseline is a leasing company that helps mainly businesses get their businesses up and running, helps establish businesses acquire new equipment, and basically helps companies grow their business, gets the equipment that they need for a low monthly payment, as well as tax write-offs.
Oh.
Yeah, there's tax advantages.
I'm going to learn something listening to you tonight. Oh, I can hear it already. What is the scope of Leaseline's business in the Okanagan? How far do you reach your tentacles out to generate business for your company?
Well, Leaseline started about 20 years ago. The guys started in Vancouver, moved it up to Kelowna, but we deal all across Canada. So I typically deal mainly in the Okanagan, the interior, but we also deal as far as New Brunswick, Newfoundland.
Oh,
yep.
From here?
From here as well.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. I never would have guessed that.
No.
And how do you attract business?
Many different ways. Word of mouth is huge. The customer referral is also huge. I personally go out and talk to local vendors in town, people that sell equipment. They also end up referring their customers to us. So it's a win-win. We help the vendors sell the equipment. I help the customers get the piece of gear they want. So we do that by, like I said, I go face to face. We make phone calls. We send emails. All sorts of things.
And you do presentations?
Yes, yeah.
Do you ever do group presentations where you walk into a room in say in a hotel conference room, for example, where there's 20 or 30 people there that have come together for seminars and workshops for a company, and you do a presentation talking about the advantages of your leasing company to assist them in developing new or improved businesses?
Yes, I have done a few seminars. What I also do quite often is I'll go out and visit a local vendor. They'll get all of their sales staff, which could be 10 to 15 people, and I'll express to them, how to sell leasing to their customers. So when their customers come in looking for a piece of equipment, instead of spending, $50,000 on an item that they might be needing, they can lease it for, a couple $100 a month. The beauty about Leaseline is we are a funder and we're also a broker. So we are our own bank. We finance a lot of deals internally, especially for Okanagan customers. And we can also outsource those deals to other underwriters. So we have about 30 different underwriters that we can go to. Yeah.
And how many people do you have in the Kelowna office for Leaseline?
I think there's about 10 of us now.
How many of the 10 are going out to attempt to generate new business activity for the company?
We all kind of go out every now and again. A lot of the guys, if they're dealing with, an Ontario customers, they'll make a lot of phone calls, send a lot of emails, but usually they'll do 1 or 2 trips a year.
Yeah. Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah. I personally am on the road more so than the other guys. I go out and, try and source business that way.
Okay, so you're on the road quite a bit?
Quite a bit, yes.
Mostly in the Okanagan or in BC or in the Western Canada?
In BC, yes. I've done a little bit in Alberta, but typically my area is BC. Interior, Lower Mainland. We do all types of equipment. So, anybody looking from restaurant equipment to fitness equipment. We do a lot of, obviously semi-trucks and heavy iron and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, yeah. Kari, talk about a little bit for our viewers tonight, a little bit more about how Leaseline gets involved with clients and customers in the variety of ways that you do.
Well, typically what happens is a customer will have a certain piece of equipment in mind that they need for either a startup business or growing their business. So, or they might need a new piece that's breaking down or what have you. So they'll contact me, let me know this is what I want, this is the amount I want. Then I'll start the process of getting them approved for that equipment. At that point, we get them all approved. They can, they might change their mind, they might want a different model of what they want. We can do that at the time. Once they finalize, the customer finalizes what they want for the equipment, the price and everything, then we start the process and we pay out the vendor directly. Customer gets the equipment and happy
Work
day.
out the agreement.
Yep.
I'm just curious, sitting and listening to you, I'm curious because of the diversity of your business, all the different aspects of it, how long would an average leasing agreement be with Leaseline? Just a ballpark.
Some of our clients want it as short as 12 months, so they might not have the cash at the time.
Yeah.
It might be a smaller ticket item, so they'll do a 12-month lease, but we go all the way up to 60 months and potentially even higher,
Wow.
to 72, something like that, depending on the gear and the amount.
Yeah. Wow.
Because we deal with so many different banks, we have a lot of options. We can structure a lease to the customer's preference. If they have a certain budget in mind, if they want a longer term, then we have a fluctuation to do that.
And this is a question. That's chartered banks and credit unions?
Yes, we deal with all the top banks.
Okay.
Yep, as well as smaller lenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, like ourselves.
How do you promote your company?
Well, we're doing a lot of online lately.
Yeah.
We do a lot of online advertising. We are, I go out face to face and promote to the businesses.
Yeah.
We send out mailing information.
Okay, information bulletins, yeah.
Yep. I have brochures that I send out all the time.
Okay.
And again, we always, make those personal phone calls where it's not, just an email that you're getting. You're actually getting a phone call from, somebody in the office and
Cold calls, if you will.
that's right. Yep.
Okay, good, exactly.
And we can lease any type of equipment. I might have mentioned this before, but we do everything from fitness equipment to people starting up new restaurants. Basically anything used for business use, we could put together on a lease for them.
Well, when I was thinking of inviting you to join us in the show tonight, it's from that aspect that I was particularly interested in bringing you on to talk to the viewers about entrepreneurship, that people want to start a business. Doesn't matter what the business is, Leaseline can assist that process, that entrepreneurial process, to help get people to the point where they can say, aha, I'm ready. I've developed my business plan. I'm going to need this equipment. It's going to cost this much. And this is where I have to source to get that piece of equipment to help me launch my company.
That's right.
Right?
And they might not have the money to do so.
That's exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's where Leaseline can make a big difference. And I think when I was thinking of you for the show, I think that's what I was thinking of. And when I use the word diversity, because Leaseline has the diversity to access equipment
That's right.
and programs.
Yep.
You mentioned fitness equipment. Well, I think it would seem to me that I wouldn't want to lease fitness equipment unless I could lease the instructional material to help guide me through the utilization of that equipment, so that if that equipment assisted in opening my business, my entrepreneurial venture, I could then properly instruct and guide my customers.
That's right. Yep. And like fitness equipment, you might want to upgrade that in 4 or 5 years. So if you do your lease in 4 or 5 years, at the end of the lease, you have that option to trade up to new equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
So it saves you money in the long run. There's a lot of tax advantages as well with doing a lease.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you explain that to our viewers?
Well, the
Tax
difference
advantages.
between a lease and a finance basically is Lease payments are considered a rental until the end of the term once the
Oh,
buyout is
okay.
executed.
Yeah.
So the government lets you use it as a write-off. So instead of financing it, you might be able to depreciate a certain amount per year.
Oh, okay.
But with leasing,
Yeah.
it'll save you that money. And we have other options because we have so many different banks. We deal with all types of customers, all the way from AAA multi-million-dollar oil rig companies in Alberta down to, you know, someone that's just coming out of bankruptcy, has had a hard time, someone starting a new owner-operator company. We help out all those customers.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we deal with tough credit, and we also deal with, you know, A credit
Yeah,
as well.
I like that.
A lot of those people that are starting out in those new companies or want to start something, they go to the bank, they get very frustrated because they cannot get approved. With us at Leaseline, we really work as a team to help find the right approval for the customer so that they can go and get the equipment, get their business started. That's probably the best thing about my job and what I do, the satisfaction of helping somebody start and grow their business, whatever the business is. It's a great feeling. And
I almost want to say, it's on the tip of my tongue to say it, so I'm going to say it, almost a last resort financing option. Does that make sense?
yes,
Or am I going down the wrong road?
I would say it was more of a first resort financing option.
There's no bias on your part, is there?
Well, I mean, a lot of the times we'll get a decent rate for the customer, and with those tax advantages, it's going to be a good, like, it's even with going straight to your bank and getting the financing.
It's attractive.
It is.
So then let me embellish that. Would you say that in the normal course of things, an entrepreneur or entrepreneurs starting off developing a new business should, in the course of assembling their business plan, consider approaching a leasing company, in this case yours, but a leasing company to discuss, for want of a better term, to discuss options that those entrepreneurs may need to get their business off the ground?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See that? Now, what's interesting in that, you hear where I'm going with this. It's an option that most entrepreneurs don't even think of.
No, they don't. And that's part of what I do, is try and educate the salespeople, the vendors, the customers on what the advantages are and how we can help. And, you know, how we can structure it so that it's going to help them.
That really opens up the door very much to have companies like Leaseline really aggressively market their services and the options that they can provide, that your company can provide to the entrepreneurial community in the Okanagan.
Absolutely.
The world of leasing company is different than I anticipated. I thought it was a little bit more narrowly focused, but you're making me believe that a leasing company can open up a lot of doors for a new business startup.
Very much so. You know, and another thing that we do that I didn't mention is we can help customers acquire the money they need for other things. So if a customer has a piece of equipment and they're planning on, you know, purchasing a different office space that's going to cost them a lot more money, we can refinance their equipment and help them get
for
started.
heaven's sakes.
Yeah, lots of different things we can do. And like I said, that's the beauty of my job, Joel, is helping out these people that are, you know, starting up their dream.
Well, that would make me excited too. That would get me away from, for want of a better term, monotony. Thank you once again for coming out tonight. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, folks, for our show for this evening, The Fire Within. Look forward to seeing you next week when we'll be talking to other entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial organizations. Good night and goodbye.